All right, so today we are going to be talking about postpartum depression. So, our standard says that you will be able to understand postpartum and the resources available to parents. So, our essential question is what are some strategies a woman can use to help with postpartum depression? Go ahead and pause the video, write down that essential question, and then come back when you're ready to move on. Go ahead and pause now. Okay, awesome. So, what is postpartum compared to the baby blues? I'm going to have you watch this video and then we'll talk about it, okay?
You're exhausted, you're unsure if breastfeeding is going right, why is the baby crying? I mean, there can be a wide range of emotions in the first couple weeks. 80% of women will experience this, and we kind of label that as kind of the baby blues. So that's normal. Expect that to happen, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. However, for about 15% of women, it goes beyond that, and that is what we would label as postpartum depression. If they start experiencing symptoms 9 months down the road, they don't necessarily relate it back to the pregnancy. But really anything in the first 1 year we would label as postpartum depression. Classic symptoms of depression: feeling hopeless, crying too much. Sometimes it just shows up as irritability. Of course, if you're ever having feelings of wanting to hurt yourself or wanting to hurt others, we need people to seek out help immediately. The biggest thing that I want to instill to women is that they just need to be open about it. There's no need to feel shame, to blame themselves. They are not being bad moms. They shouldn't feel like failures. They just need to be open about it.
Okay. So, baby blues, normal for the first couple weeks. Postpartum is not super normal. Anything within the first year is considered postpartum. So, for the purpose of this class, postpartum is the first 6 weeks after giving birth. So, that's something that you'll need to know. I'm going to have you watch this video that talks about how to deal with postpartum depression.
In today's episode, we're talking about a serious subject that touches many, many new families: postpartum depression.
Today's episode is brought to you by Baby Bjorn, Architect certified safe for your baby, Baby Bjorn.
To get an understanding of what postpartum depression is, what its symptoms are, and how it can be treated, we spoke with Dr. Janice Morris, a family therapist and specialist in postpartum depression.
Before defining postpartum depression, first we'll talk about baby blues. Baby blues is by far the most common. It occurs in 50 to 80% of new mothers. It happens about 3 days after birth and lasts for a couple of weeks. It's associated with that sudden drop in hormones after birth, and new moms will feel irritable, crying for no apparent reason, impatient. With enough rest and nutrition and support of family and friends, it usually goes away by itself. After that is postpartum depression, if they don't get better. And onset is usually within 6 weeks, but sometimes postpartum symptoms can appear 4, 6, 12 months postpartum. It occurs in 1 in 10 new moms, so it's still pretty common. The key symptoms are sleep disturbance. Now, a lot of new moms have sleep disturbance because the baby doesn't sleep well, but if she can't sleep when the baby is sleeping, that's one hallmark. Another is guilt. Moms with postpartum depression feel guilty about not doing a good enough job. They worry they're not bonding with the baby. They don't have the right feelings for the baby. And so those are 2 hallmarks. But in addition to that, you'll find that they're crying a lot. They might have difficulty getting out of bed. They're feeling a lot of self-doubt, self-criticism, maybe thoughts of, I'd just like to get in the car and drive away and never come back. Sometimes suicidal ideation, thoughts of harming the baby. Postpartum OCD occurs in about 2% of new moms, and it's characterized by these intrusive thoughts that seem to come out of the blue. These ideas like, I could harm the baby. I could drop the baby. I could drop the baby off the balcony. I don't like being around sharp knives. A mom will say, I don't think I would ever do this, but I can't get this out of my head, and it's really upsetting. Does it mean I'm a bad person? Is this normal? One of the first easy things that new dads can do to help is to see if he can sit down with his wife and strategize about how she could get 3 nights of uninterrupted sleep. Whatever way that could happen, sleep is enormously restorative, and once she feels like she's a little more rested, she doesn't feel swamped in these really bad feelings. He could suggest that they go together to see a therapist who specializes in postpartum depression. That kind of therapy is a little different from conventional therapy, so it helps to see somebody who knows something about it. And that therapist can help them decide if it would be appropriate and helpful to see a psychiatrist. There are psychiatrists who are trained specifically in the kinds of medications that are safe if a mom is breastfeeding. And these kinds of things, you can either try to tolerate the thoughts, but if they're disturbing your sleep and disturbing your quality of life, there are medications and there's therapy available.
Obviously, this video is about postpartum depression in moms, but a recent study in the Journal of the American Medical Association showed that up to 10% of dads experience some kind of depression between the first trimester and then that first birthday.
Yeah, well, that's not an entirely surprising statistic, but postpartum depression is a family issue, and I know this firsthand because with our oldest child, he didn't get a copy of the birth plan, evidently, because instead of being born naturally, he was born 10 weeks premature by cesarean section. And the difference between those two things really caused my wife a tough time. She definitely suffered either baby blues or postpartum depression, had a very rocky period after the baby was born, and really kind of put me in the front position taking care of the little guy in the NICU. So I understand it. I really wish that we had more resources available to us then, and I hope that you will take advantage of the ones that are out there now.
Yeah, if you have questions about postpartum depression or you have experiences to share, leave a comment on this video or go to dadlabs.com and join the conversation there.
Okay, so that's a little bit about postpartum. I'm going to pause this one here, and then we'll pick up in a minute in the next one.